Arthur Dong joins us now. He's a professor at Georgetown University's McDonough School of Business. A real bad stretch for Huawei. Obviously, the Polish official saying this had nothing to do with the company, but he was a Huawei employee. Give me your take on all of this.
Oh, certainly. I mean, this comes on the heels of the arrest of their CEO, Ms. Meng. And this is a company that's been surrounded by controversy, certainly since the arrest of their CFO, with American officials claiming that Huawei and their equipment are acting on behalf of the Chinese government and potentially allowing or enabling technological backdoors that would enable, Chinese government to spy or conduct surveillance in the countries where this equipment is being installed.
Although, again, no evidence produced in terms of that. And it's interesting, Jeffrey Sachs, a professor at Columbia University last month, wrote this piece titled The War on Huawei, saying that Trump administration really wants to contain this giant from a competitive standpoint. Do you think there's much truth in that?
Well, Huawei is a very visible target. I mean, it's a champion of China's national industry. It's been heralded as one of the great global companies for China Incorporated. China has always claimed, the government has always claimed that Huawei is a private entity, and certainly there's a lot to be proud of in terms of their technological advancement and the fact that they have such large market share and doing very well in the markets in which they operate. Perhaps, is a threat to either American companies or Western companies that are competing with Huawei in the same space.
What about relations with these countries? We've seen some indications that the relationship with Canada not so good. The ambassador saying Ottawa has a double standard. There's white supremacy. How do you see the relations with China and some of these countries involved in all of this?
Yeah, I think it's a very delicate balance. Whenever where these instances and these matters were concerned, both in Canada and now in Poland. There is a backlash in terms of a governmental response to these countries, and I think it could have some damage in terms of the bilateral relations as well as diplomatic relations that exist that have been very carefully built, certainly over the years and decades, between these two countries. So China takes these matters very seriously. They're going to defend companies such as Huawei and certainly ask those governments to treat these companies fairly and also accord these executives who are under arrest, a due process of law.
It would be unfair to have you on this show and not ask you about the talks, the most recent trade talks between the United States and China. What was your sense as they came to a close? Do you feel like there's any momentum going in the right direction?
Yes, Mike. I think that's a great question, and certainly I think, based on what I've been observing over the past week, I see positive sort of movement in terms of dialogue. I think they're covering some very, very key topics and key issues that have been points of contention in this trade debate. And I am cautiously optimistic that there's going to be some resolution in the not too distant future.
And the contours of an agreement, what do you kind of see coming out of this? Obviously, one side wants one thing, the other side wants the other. Where do you think they can meet in the middle?
I think the middle ground will be, across those very large issues that the United States would like to have resolution on, and China having the willingness to respond and having the willingness to sort of amend or change across topics like intellectual property rights and protection, and certainly for China to increase the amount of goods and services that they purchase from American companies. So I see some bright spots, and I'm hopeful that the farm economy is going to benefit in the United States, as well as the energy economy in the United States, and seeing some improvements there with increased purchases on behalf of China.
And they do have this deadline looming, March just around the corner. You think it can get done in time?
I place less than 50-50 chance on that happening. The best I think we can hope for is an extension of the deadline, where the continuation of the discussion and the topics really start to take hold in earnest.
Arthur Dong, always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure.